Go. All right. So what did we say? Up to this now, we've been talking about the specialness of Moshe. And it says, there's a mizmor of Moshe Ishu Elohim. This is it's the 90th Psalm. This is for the Rebbe's 90th birthday, 89th birthday, going into the 90th year. So that was the year that the Rebbe was he spoke about this. So now he spoke about this idea of Moshe, and he took the sentences and from the sentences of this Psalm number 90, Tzaddik, and he explained with this in great deal the uniqueness of Moses and why only Moses could bring the future redemption. Because the whole idea of the future redemption is revealing God in the world. And not just God as the creator, but God that's much, much above the creator, and having that revealed in the world. And therefore, Moses was the one who did it, because he himself was an expression of this, a personification of the revelation of the essence of God in the creation, in every detail of the creation. And that was Moshe Ishu Elohim. And the Rebbe said that Moshe is how he was here in the world, physical person. And I'm sorry. Ish, that he was an Ish, that he was a physical person. And that he was an Ish Elohim means he was a godly person, but that's only godliness, how it is relevant to the world. But he was also Moshe. Moshe was drawn out from the water, which is from the world of total concealment. And that's what Moshe was in the world. So that's, now we can understand the tzaddik. The tzaddik, and especially if he said that sometimes the word tzaddik is spelled with a kuf, and sometimes it's just spelled tzadi. When you're talking about the letter in the Hebrew alphabet, sometimes it's called tzaddik, and sometimes it's called tzadi without the kuf. So the Rebbe explained that tzad means tzadi, means my side, and that indicates free choice, that God is just one, so to speak, one of the sides, and that a person can choose not to serve God, God forbid, if he wants to. And that was the novelty of Moses, that he brought godliness down to the lowest levels, even to the power of free choice, that a person could choose to rebel against God, to deny God totally, and to prove that God doesn't exist. And Moses brought godliness down to even that person, that he could use his that same free will and decide to serve God. So now we can understand this tzaddik with the letter kuf. It's known that says that God created the world. It says God created the world with two letters. With the letter Hey, he created this world, and the letter Yud, he created all the spiritual worlds. This world was created with the letter of Hey. What is the letter Hey? The letter Hey has three pillars, right? Like chametz and matzah. Remember the letter Hey and the letter Chet? This corresponds to the three levels of the world. Like the ideas of the Torah and Kabbalah are infinite. So there's all these different facets. So here he's talking about, sometimes it says God created the world with 10 utterances. Sometimes it says God could have created with one utterance. Sometimes it says he created with the world with his thought. Sometimes it says that the world is created with God's hand. These are all different aspects of the creation. Here it says that God created this world with the letter Hey. And the letter Hey has the three lines on it, right, left, and top. And that hints at the three worlds, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. We talked briefly about these three worlds. And human beings, like a human being is made in the image of God, that corresponds something like the thought, speech, and action. Agad, Baregalia, Mini, the roof and the right foot of the letter, they're joined together. That corresponds to thought and speech. This is like, remember we learned the Mimer, we just finished it this morning, about the difference between chametz and matzah, is just the difference between the letter Hey and the letter Chet. Because except for that, there's both of them have men tzaddik. So it says thought and speech. And the third foot of this letter Hey, God created the world with Hey. It has a break on the top of it. is like the world of Asiya, the physical world, because the physical world seems to be separated from everything else. So Af Asisiv, Af is Mafsik. This physical world seems to be separated from God and from the spiritual and from everything. So that's his letter Hey that God created the world from. Kavan, since the Olam Amalol Nivro, since the when God created the world, He created it complete. What does it mean complete? It's like going and buying a puzzle from a store. So the puzzle is complete. You open the thing up. What do you mean? What's it complete? What's it complete? There's nothing here. Well, it's just a bunch of little pieces and colors. But the complete puzzle is there. You just have to put it together. Same thing. The world was created complete. You just have to put it together. So it's understood that although that this physical world was created with the letter Hey. Some people say Olam Hazeh is referring to all this world and the spiritual worlds and everything, and Olam Haba is the raising of the dead, whatever. In any case, this world is created with the letter Hey. And because there's the letter Hey, so we see the letter Hey has three sides to it. The top, these two are the spiritual. This is the world of Atzilut, and this is Bria. And this is already getting to the physical world. And it's separated. There's a separation. Sheish no Hefzik, there's a separation between the world of Asiya. In other words, a concealment that is not joined. Nevertheless, Harizel Mulon, nevertheless, we say the world is created full. Now here we have a good example. Here's exactly the opposite message that was sent by Matzah and Chametz. Over there it says that the letter Hey was a good letter because it let godliness through. And here it's saying that the Hey represents something not so good because that space shows on a separation, a division between this physical world and the spiritual worlds. Okay, there's like I said, there's 70 faces to the Torah. So this world, in other words, is created with the letter Hey, and it's created complete. What do you mean complete? It's separated from the spiritual world. That's the letter Hey. There's a big separation from anything spiritual. So therefore, how can you say it's created complete? Because there's a world that covers over God. Right, true, yes, but that's what God wanted because now we can serve God in this way of tzaddik. Namely, what does we say? Tzad means free choice. We can use our free will. We can choose to do the Torah and the commandments. You can choose. And then this will express the real purpose of the Jewish people. Torah b'mitzvos you hatzad b'nei Israel. Then Torah and commandments will be something you chose to do. This will be the side of the Jews. But afterwards, after that, then there's the service of, right, tzadi. That's the tzad, my tzad, we said, my side. And then there's the kuf, tzaddik. Kuf stands for the word holiness, kedusha. Shemegim gam b'makom zeh, that it also reaches also to this same place of free choice where you can do sins. That from the letter Hey comes the letter Kuf. That the left foot goes down too low, and below the place where it was supposed to be. Below the level where God created it. God created the world with letter Hey. The letter Kuf shows that you took this letter Hey and you overdid it. You brought it too far down. And therefore we have to fix up the world. That we have to be a partner with God in the creation of the world. And that's what God wanted. God purposely created the world separate from him. It seemed that it was a tzadi, that there was a tzad, that the world was just one side of the picture with equal value of God. God is one side and the world is the other side. But nevertheless, and that's the idea of the letter Kuf. The letter Kuf comes down to, that's a tzaddik. The Kuf comes down too low, and that's our job, is to come into this level of the Kuf, this left leg that comes down too low. It gets too involved in the world. See the Kuf, comes down, and to work on this, to refine the world like Moshe did. That's the whole purpose of the service of the letter Tzadik, to take the letter Tzad, to take this aspect of Tzadi, that we choose God to be on our side, and then we can refine the letter Kuf. Shu mamshich me'atzadi, that it draws down from this Tzadi, and it attaches the Kuf. In other words, the ability to do sins, it attaches it to the word Tzadik. Even the letter Kuf, which is below normal, doing sins, also becomes part of this tzaddik. In other words, what are we trying to say? Moshe, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu had the ability to draw godliness down into the lowest aspects of this world. And that's represented especially by this year, the 90th, going into the 90th year. And that's symbolized by the psalm that is said on that year, Psalm number 90. And 90 in Hebrew, there's no numbers aren't used there, are used, but there's essentially in Hebrew, the letters are numbers. So tzadi means 90, but it also means righteousness. And sometimes it's written tzadi, and sometimes it's written tzadik. And this level of tzadik is showing on Moshe that he comes down even to this low level, that the tzaddik comes down below, too low. That also is attached to the tzaddik. If so, according to all this, what are we saying? What does Moshe want? Not just this world should be good and we should kill all the bad people and get rid of them, or like we say, inject them with something so they don't do bad sins anymore. No, our job is that everyone should use their free will, the same free will that a person uses in order to do sins, and using that free will and say, that's it. I don't want to go against God anymore. I don't care how good it feels or right it feels or how confused I am. I'm not going to do it anymore. That was the ability of Moses, to give the world an alternative. You don't have to be an addict. You don't have to be angry all the time. You don't have to be a criminal. You don't have to be depressed. You don't have to be, there's an alternative. Usually those people get into those things. There's no alternative. Moshe came to bring the tzadi, his side, and to encourage everyone to make the right choice. Even the person whose letter kuf, this left leg comes down too low, to be attached to the word tzaddik. According to this, now we can understand why the Redeemer of the Jewish people, the Redeemer that took them out of Egypt, the first Redeemer, before that there was no such thing as redemption of a whole nation. He is going to be the last one. Moshe will be the Mashiach. What does that mean? Because Moshe is this level of Ish Elokim, because Moshe, which that shows on the essence of godliness, is Ish, which shows on the lowest level in the world, Elokim. This is what connects them. Moses embodied all these. Yesh B'kocho, Moshe has in the power to draw down this Geul of the future redemption, revealed power, which is unlimited in the world, to reveal the infinite God in the limited world. U'legolat b'nei Israel, and to redeem the Jewish people from all of their problems, internal and external, until even the klippas, even the forces of evil, the idolatry of Egypt, will also be part of this unity. And with this power, also the future redemption, like it says, the days of going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles, not only miracles that will be in nature, Elokim, but also everyone will see miracles that are totally, totally above nature, until they're the level of niflaot. They'll be wondrous even in comparison to what happened when we left Egypt. Now you have to remember, the people that left Egypt are just people like us. And they lived life just like we did. They didn't have a nice house, but still they worried about what's going to be tomorrow. And they were afraid of what was yesterday is going to be repeated. And they're uncertain about now. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as us. But all of a sudden came along Moses and he just took them all out. Nobody has expected it. Nobody dreamed there would be such a thing like that. Well, the future redemption is going to be even more amazing. And you can say, oh, come on, it's not going to happen. Well, I mean, you're right. It is amazing. That makes no sense, but that's the basis of Judaism. That's what we celebrate on Passover. And this should be, the future redemption will be a redemption that there's no exile after it, in such a way that the entire world will become a dwelling place for God, a fixed dwelling place and eternal, forever and ever. So now we can understand what it means, this Shabbat HaGadol. What was the big miracle in this Shabbat HaGadol? That the Egyptian firstborn made war against Paro and his army. By means of this miracle, that the firstborn, they smote the Egyptians, the firstborn Egyptians made war against their own people. It means that what? That Bechor, usually the firstborn, that's the power, that's the pride of the country. So the pride of evil, Egypt was evil itself, the firstborn of Egypt, they were the ones that actually, instead of being the support and the glory of Egypt, they made war against Egypt. It was a land that was filled with idolatry. This is what's talking about refining this letter Kuf, that we said that the foot goes down into death and below normal. How was this? That the Egyptian firstborn could do it? This means that there was a revelation that was tremendously high of godliness, above any of the miracles that occurred to the Jewish people, or the miracles that God did, until that this revealed even more. It's an eternal force that was revealed in the world, namely that the firstborn actually made a choice to support the Jews, the firstborn Egyptians. Look, and therefore it's called a big gadol, nes gadol, big miracle. And this was made, this is really the beginning of the redemption and the beginning of the real miracles of going out of Egypt. This was set, why do we set this on Shabbos? The Jews, at first class, they made the war, the firstborn, they made the war the day before the Jews left Egypt. The day the Jews left Egypt was on Thursday, Wednesday. Since on Shabbos, this was back then, right? Shabbat was connected to the day of Shabbat that we have now. This is connected to the future redemption. That's why in the Kiddush, in the daytime, we talk about Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. Remember, in the day, in all of our prayers on Shabbat, remembrance of the Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. The day that is totally Shabbat and Menucha L'Olamim, it says the future redemption is going to be like total Shabbat. There won't be any problems. It says that everything on Shabbat is double, and this will be connected to the future redemption, because Shabbat, that when we read in this Shabbat, where we talk about the big miracle that occurred, namely that the firstborn, they themselves made a war against Egypt, this transforms the whole Shabbat. It's not just a resting Shabbat, this becomes a big Shabbat. Because this Shabbat has the power in it to have an effect on the non-Jews, that they themselves should defy the world in order to do what the Torah says. And that's what it says this year. Shabbat HaGadol comes in Parshas Tzav. The word Tzav, command, only means to speed someone up. Tzav means you command them and to give them an extra push. It means not just that person, but it means for now or forever. When God said Tzav at Bnei Israel, or Tzav at Aaron, he meant forever. This hints even more at the future redemption, which is going to be permanent. God commanded Moshe, Tzav at Aaron, commanded Aaron. What does it mean? Aaron is going to be eternal. That by means of Aaron, this will reach to each and every Jew. Since that Aaron is the one who loves peace and runs after peace, that there is the commandment and the giving of power, which is unlimited from God. Tzav, this is to each and every Jew, whether now or forever. Umiyad, and immediately. Ein lo shum afra. What it means, when it says tzav, it means now and forever. Now means that God is giving us power right now. Nothing can stop. this commandment of God from being manifested. Since Kivan Shehu Malubash Bezelagamri, because the person himself is totally involved in it. That's what it means, that God is, until Zel Chayav, until the person, this becomes his life. This is God is commanding you personally to do something. This permeates you totally, now and forever. In the same way that this being, they say, quick and enthusiastic, this is for all Jews. Just like as we said that there was 3 generations we had before, and the number 3, tzaddik, 3 times 10, 3, I'm sorry, tzaddik, 3 times 30. Harizen nasa inyan nitzche, this is made eternal from all of the generations. That everything that we do will be in a way of, like Moshe, it says, it'll be eternal and fixed. Okay, what's the Rebbe? So what's the Rebbe trying to point out over here? We'll have to stop now. What is the Rebbe trying to point out? That if a person is really attached to the message that Moshe wants to bring, and Moshe is bringing this message to every single Jew, so then everything he does, he'll realize that it has a tremendous importance to it. And that's the idea of Moshe. It has a godly importance. Moses brought and revealed godliness in the most mundane, simple things. Now, everything we do, we can see it's a big miracle. God is creating everything, right? I brush my teeth in the morning. God is creating the toothbrush. He's creating my teeth. He's creating this. Everything is miraculous. And life itself is miraculous. But it's not just miraculous because we're receiving something. It's miraculous because God is revealing himself and everything that there is. That's what's talking. The main miraculousness is connecting it to the Torah. Right? The reason I'm brushing my teeth is so that there'll be health, and a person has to be healthy in order to do what it says in the Torah, and other things. You can attach it to the laws of the Torah and everything. And the laws of the Torah are totally above any comprehension. They're eternal, something which we can't understand. So that's what it says, that because Moses commanded that, then this is a thing which can be eternal forever, and it'll stand my secular konaneu, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow in the morning class. We'll start from here, Tesvav. Okay, see you tomorrow morning, 8:15. We'll learn the mimer of the Rebbe and Lakuti Torah. We'll talk a little bit about Moses, the amazing godliness of Moses, and how Moses had the ability to draw it into each and every one of us for all time, forever. Us too. God bless you all. Have a good day with Moshiach Now. Hope to see you tomorrow at 8:15 in the morning. Shalom uvracha.